Hey guys, Red Wolf here again, and pretty psyched up for the new Goblin vs Gnomes that just came out. So can't actually wait to buy all those packs. Take note also that if you buy the packs by default, it's on the classic packs now. Used to be the expert, but don't make mistakes some people did and bought the classic pack. So let's crack these packs open. I've been looking forward to getting Iron Juggernaut and all those nice Mech Engineer Thermoplug. Quite a few. So let's go. Alright. Mistress of Pain. Pretty good. A nice lifelink ability hasn't come out yet, and it really is needed in a Warlock because that card draw all day long. Has some nice synergies with also boosting abilities. Siege Engine? A bit weird because even if you gain more than one armor, it still gives you only one attack per armor. So per like burst of armor gain. So even if you win 5, you don't get the full benefit. Mini Mage, not a big fan. Just so much mana, so little toughness. The stealth is okay, but the fact that one small AoE kills it, it's really not cool. And plus, at 4 mana, you're expecting something that has a laster impact. Will like tough longer. Shield Maiden seems interesting. I still have to see if she's useful though. But the 5 health is pretty good compared to, let's say, the neutral card, the 5/4, the priestess there that heals you for 4. Seems a lot more interesting, a lot more flexible card. Cobalt Guardian. Oh man, you really need to drop another mech at the same time that you drop him. Otherwise, he's super vulnerable. So don't like him. Fell Cannon. They're really pushing mechs. Unfortunately, this is doing it wrong. It's kind of forcing you to have all non-mechs instead of buffing your mechs or making it better. It's kind of the carrot and the stick, and this is the stick version. So if you do play something that's not a mech yourself, you'll get pissed off and it might actually kill your own guys. Implosion, RNG, of course, Blizzard really likes that RNG. So overall, I mean, best case scenario, you get 4 damage and 4 power, 4 toughness, which is really awesome. Worst case scenario, 2 damage for 2 power, 2 toughness. Is it worth it? I mean, if you look at an Elven Archer is 1 mana, 1 power, 1 toughness, 1 attack, which is the 4 equivalent of this. So anything under that, you're actually boosting. Like the 3 mana, 2/2 for and 1 damage, then it's closer to this, and I really don't like that card. So Implosion, yeah. Fun fact though, it does stack with spell power. So imagine a Maligos. Oh, golden common. Another Fell Cannon. Murr. Can't believe that they brought back Murlocs. Seriously, mechs and Murlocs. We thought we had lost Murlocs during Nax, but no. Goblin Sapper, very cool card. The only problem is it's not reliant on you, it's reliant on your opponent. And the big problem is it's really cool against control, but extremely weak against aggro. So the question is, does your deck struggle with aggro or control? If it struggles against control, this is good. If it struggles against all those face hunters and face warlocks, well, then probably don't play the guy. Up next, we present to you Kazan Mystic. I really love this card. Oh my god, so many secrets. Simply destroys Frost Mages. Pretty annoying against hunters, and it's okay. It's just an upside of. It's basically when you see a mad scientist, you can chuckle when you play that card. Chuckle maniacally. Vitality Totem, still have to see if it's interesting. Basically, it's almost like gaining 7 health for 2. So in that respect, it's pretty good. If it's able to survive, it's pretty nice. Sabotage. Oh yes, so happy I got this. So you destroy a minion and you're able to destroy the weapon. Super, super interesting card, especially that the rogue already controls the board and is able to snipe the last creature there. Pretty good. So if you're able to keep board control and keep this in your hand, and you can even have a 2-for-1, and also compared to something like Kidnapper, which is a high-costed combo card, this is still a spell, so it combos with preparation, unlike Kidnapper. So just that fact is pretty cool. Dunmal Shaman? Wind Fury so far haven't proven themselves as being very good other than Alakir. This one I still have yet to see, and the fact that it misses 50% of the time just is not in his favor to be a contender for a great, because basically you want to be able to go for face twice, and he can't systematically do that. Just think of it as potentially all enemy having maybe taunt, and you never want to have taunt on facing a Wind Fury. Shadowboxer seems like a very interesting card. So if you can imagine something like a Holy Nova healing up 3 of your minions, dealing 2 damage to all of the other minions, he will additionally deal damage to 4 extra characters. So since you're healing 4 of your characters, yourself and 3 minions, he'll actually throw 3 magic missiles. 4 magic missiles. So that's pretty interesting because I Mystic we talked. Take a look. Why are you legendaries? Mech Bearcat. Bit on the expensive side. I'm not always a big fan of having more attack than toughness. Basically, like something that can get 6 power up can kill this at once. Though for the mana, it's not that bad of stats to be honest. It's closer to an ogre, and just has an upside. But it's comparable to ogre, but ogre isn't the best card either, right? So. Implosion again. Floating Watcher should be a rare, by the way. Pretty interesting card. Siege Engine again. 5/5 for 5. Possibly gains attack when you gain armor. I mean, it's defensive and offensive. That's cool. Siege Engine again. Oh, hi there. Don't we like these Siege Engines. Goblins Happer, again, very weak against aggro, very strong against control. Okay, alright. So Ogre Ninja, this is probably one of my favorite ogres so far, well the 50% missing one, simply because he will attack, he has enough toughness to tough it out if he fights against most other 5-cost minions. And he will for sure attack, and the cost is really good overall in terms of having 12 points of stats for 5 mana. That's really above target, and in theory he can forego taunts and actually break through stealth, so that's pretty interesting. Minimage, not very big fan. And Screwjack Clunker, I mean, it's an okay card. It's like a higher toughness Houndmaster that doesn't give taunt. I find Houndmasters just more interesting in its deck because there's so many beasts in Hunter. However, the mechs don't necessarily synergize very well with all the warrior cards, so still has to prove itself as being a good card. So, target dummy, I won't go into why this card is bad, but I will say that there's quite a few interesting combos because the fact it's a 0 cost mech. And if you compare it to Shield Bearer, it's about the closest comparison. Shield Bearer had a few niche plays in maybe turn 1 coin Paladin with Blessing of Might. This may have some use, but most of the time, if you're not like a very stringent mech deck with like Myrmidon's head, probably not. Demon Heart, I don't really like this card. It's like a huge version of Demon Fire, but Demon Fire has the flexibility. This is just downright expensive, probably overkill for some minions, and the +5/+5, it's alright, but then again, I prefer the flexibility of having it earlier. It's too much of an all-in card. It'll use your entire turn, and I don't know. Still have to be convinced. Oh look, a golden demon heart. Jeeves. So this is a pure aggro card. Um, Simply because you want to dump out your hand and ASAP get those 3 cards. His advantage though is that the enemy might want to leave him alive to also be able to draw his 3 cards. So it's an interesting card. I think the closest card would be Divine Favor and Paladin that allows you to equate your opponent's cards in his hand. So in a really quick deck, you can empty all your hand and refill it up. I find it's very interesting in decks that don't have draw mechanics, unlike Divine Favor and maybe Warlock. So maybe you could actually see other classes other than the Paladin, the Hunter, and the Warlock being a rush deck. Could be interesting to see. Light of the Narrow, really nice interaction with Injured Blade Master, healing yourself for 3 health when you have more than 3 damage on you, or healing up a big toughness minion, maybe a Death Knight, something like that. It's pretty interesting. Uh, Demon Heart, talked about it. Golden cards. Unstable Portal, I kind of like that card, but to give you an idea, there was actually a breakdown of all the possibilities, and for the most part, the most cards available are at the 3 and 4 range. So on average, you will get a okay draw from this. Now, since it's gambling, the issue is you can get either a 0, 1, or 2 cost cards, which will mean you will actually lose out on its effectiveness. And if you get a 3 and above, that is totally useless to your deck. So let's say you get a Murloc King, you don't really want that, or a Pirate King, something that actually is detrimental to you. So the random factor is kind of off-putting. So far, I've seen a few cool pulls with it, and of course the worst I've seen is someone pulling a target dummy and conceding right away. So kind of an unstable card. Still have to play around with it to see. Screwjang Clunker, talked about him. Still have to see if it works well in warrior decks, but the interaction with other warrior cards are meh. Whoa, Coghammer! Alright, that's what I wanted. So I really like this card simply because it's such a nice. I love having Divine Shield, and Taunt on a creature, and the Paladin really makes that shine so much more. I'm gonna definitely try this out in a deck, and plus, I mean, it's nothing to scoff at. It's a 2 damage, 3 attack, so it's closer to the stats of something like a Stormforge Axe, but for 1 more mana you give Divine Shield and Taunt, which in my opinion is something very good, and I mean, in the clutchest of moments, you'll be able to give it to a little 1/1. So, still worth it. Iron Sensei, so the fact that the rogue has a few cloaking options makes him a bit better, and the fact that it hits the turn it comes into play, like at the end of your turn, it'll boost another mech, is very interesting. It's not like at the beginning of your turn, let's say. So usually you will have 4 powers spread out, and if he's able to survive, then he becomes much more interesting. Like let's say you have an Annoyotron, this guy is going to be disgusting. Like he's going to boost that Annoyotron to like a 3/4 Divine Chill and Taunt, and then bigger and bigger if that rolls out. Other than that, it doesn't synergize very well. Right now, Rogue is in a weird place. Since they killed the Miracle Rogue, they're kind of trying to search what is a Rogue right now. So a lot more to see in the future with this guy maybe, if Mech Rogue becomes something. Shadow Boxer, already talked to him. Feign Death, so a hunter card to trigger death rattles. Thing with that is right now all the aggro hunters are using a lot of death rattles, and then, of course including the Undertaker. So yeah, right now I think this has a slot in it. Now the only concern is if you don't have death rattles, this is a very much a dead draw. So you need a consistent amount of death rattles. So we're talking about 12 death rattles in a 30 deck, 30 card deck. So if you have less than that, and I mean, also keep in mind, like it's really OP if you do it on a Savannah high main. But there's some death rattles also that aren't that interesting, like adding a trinket in your hand. Adding a beast in your hand is cool, to be honest. Dealing 2 damage is okay. It's like 2 mana for 2 damage on the leopard gnome, so it's almost like using your skill. But more to see. Make Bearcat, adding those spare parts all day long. Upgraded repair bot. I mean, I like this. It's kind of like a Temple Enforcer, but more affordable and a little bit more toughness gained. So overall, having a cheaper Temple Enforcer and giving more toughness is always something you want in a priest, to have that really control on the game, and being able to heal up your guys and give them more health is always better. I mean, this is just like being able to give a free circle of healing on one mech. Of course, the downside is it's a mech, so, and it's pro mech. So right now it doesn't work well with Dark Cultist and a few other of the creatures that really benefit from having more toughness. So Northshire Cleric and whatnot. So that's a little bit harder to say. But I mean, worst case, they can even buff each other up. Like you play one, won't be very useful, but the second one at least can buff this one to a 5/9. So somewhat. Okay. Suit Spewer. I mean, a lot of people are not liking this guy. I personally don't dislike him. If I can compare him to the little 1/4 spell power, uh, he's pretty nice, the Darrowland Mage. So, I mean, the fact that he's a 3/3 for 3 are very decent stats. A lot of the staple cards, like the Shaman and the Earthring Farseer, I mean, and the SI7 Agent are pretty decent 3/3s for 3. So this one also, and this +1 spell power can kind of equate to him being a 4/3 in a way. That doesn't really make him fight. So yeah, I kind of like him. But I'm a fan of spell damage, to be honest. Lots of people don't like it, and ironically not even in Mage. Oh, Light Bomb. So people have been dissing this card so far. I consider it closer to a brawl, with the upside that usually all your creatures will be higher toughness than attack, and you get to control. Like, this is a brawl with some amount of control of what you can do. Well, the damage you do. And worst case scenario, you could actually weaken down some minions and do like some positive trades in preparation of Light Bomb, and which can be then a total massacre. So I still think it's pretty interesting. Like, you attack in with a high toughness minion, you heal him back up, and then you're able to actually Light Bomb and trade positively with it. I don't know. I still think it has some of its advantages. Goblin Blast Mage. So see, now this is a positive interaction with a mech compared to like the negative one that we saw with the Warlock. This one is simply if you have a if you have a mech, this is super positive. So you have a 5/4, which is very decent brewmaster stats without the downside, and the upside is you'll actually have access to dealing 4 damage to random enemies. So that's actually very good. I mean, it's kind of like a mad bomber with no negatives that it may hit. You actually want to play this with other minions on your board, right? So that you have the trigger of having a mech. Up next, Light of the Naru. Cool card, like I said, interesting, and Light Warden, of course, is very good in priest deck. Even though we're not seeing lots of it, it's just because there's no spot for it. But overall, I've tried it, and it's a fairly good card. Last Mage again. Call Pets. I have some problem with this because you need to have a mighty large ratios of pet in your deck for this to work. Like we're talking 18 up pets, if possible 20, because anytime you'll draw a card and not be a beast, then you'll be sorely ashamed of it. And furthermore, if you draw a beast and it's like a tiny little one cast beast, then you'll also be disappointed. So, I mean, I'm trying it out right now with an 18 beast deck. So far it's been really good, and ironically it has this Lost Tall Strider in it, which mind you becomes a 2-cost card. So 2 overall to cast a 5/4, which is really good, and tons of huge creatures that you can play really early on. The Beast, namely, for 1 mana. For like 3 mana overall, you'll be able to play the Beast, a 9/7. So some interesting stuff. I still have to test it out a bit. Arcane Nullifier. So, do I like this more than Sigyn Shieldmaster? Yes, in spell heavy deck. The problem is, most of the time, spell heavy decks are fairly rare, and it trades mostly negatively with other creatures. So that can be a problem. And, I mean, most of the time, this sure won't be hit by spell powers, but spell and spell hero powers, but your other minions will. So it's not really protecting your entire board, it's just protecting itself. And furthermore, it won't fight back much. So those two things mean that I'm not convinced. Not convinced yet. I'd rather take the 1 extra power to fight back more creatures. So 3/3s will die attacking me. I'll kill 2 3/3s instead of hurting 2 3/3s, and I'll lose my Arcane Nullifier. Goblin Blast Mage, once again. Mad Bomber with benefits. Myrmidon's head. Whoa, whoa. Yeah, so maybe I'll try him out with the target dummy. Can't wait to try that out. Really want to get that Mega Wind Fury 4 attacks. Brrr. Illuminator. So the thing is with Illuminator is in a Paladin deck, there's not that many secrets that won't trigger easily. Maybe the Redemption will be one that has the hardest difficulty to trigger if you don't have any taunts. However, if you play him with a Redemption, chances are he'll get killed, he'll get redemptioned, and he'll come back to life with 1 toughness. In the Hunter, there's a few secrets that can slow down the game. So if you put a Frost Trap, for sure he'll absorb 1 attack, and the fact that he's a 2/4, it's not the greatest stats, but I mean it's enough to survive against 2 hits of 3/3, so I guess that's okay. But overall, where he shines, in my opinion, is mostly with the Mage, because the mage has Ice Block, which is almost an automatic secret that remains there. And also the Spellbinder, because what I've noticed is um, Spellbinders tend to stay the longest on the board without changing, well, without being triggered, because spells that are made to your face. So let's say I take a fireball to the face, the spellbinder won't trigger. If it's an AoE spell, the spellbinder won't trigger. Even if it's two targets, like deadly shot, it won't trigger. It really has to be one single target spell, and that usually happens less often. So it's one of those spells. One of those secret spells stick longer. So I really like him. Like I've been trying him out a few, and against aggro decks, he's pretty interesting because aggro takes the advantage early on, then he can come back and he can start killing 3/2s and 2/2s and 2/1s. So that's pretty cool. Repair bot, saw him. Also, guys, I'm skipping all the regular common cards. Maybe down the road I'll do a review of those, but so Mistress of Pain, interesting with some boosts, with some Demon Fire, even with Mulganus, and I really like that healing portion, so important. Coghammer, love it, love it, love it. Metal Tooth Leaper, I consider this like a savage roar that keeps on going because it's not until end of turn. So when he comes into play, he savage roars all your beasts, and they keep savage roared. So in that respect, that's fairly cool, and it's a 3/3 for 3. Now, downside, of course, is the beast. The hunter wants to have more beast synergies, and unfortunately, the mech synergies are very low. So that's another problem. It's one of those classes that already has an established race, and unfortunately mech is trying to get in there. And it's kind of like trying to make a mech warlock, or making a mech hunter, or all these classes that are trying to turn into mechs but aren't really very good because they don't synergize well with the existing cards. We'll have to see who in the end is the best for a mech. And of course the Groove Tender. I'm trying to see, like, basically what it comes down to is if you're fighting against an aggro deck, you'd want to have that extra mana, and if you're finding a control deck, you'd want to have that extra card. The thing is that with the draw card, you're making him closer to overdraw, or you may actually make him overdraw. And with the aggro, he won't have a use of 8 mana, like 8 mana turn 7 usually. Like he'll already have dropped his entire hand, whereas you having 1 extra mana, you'll be able to use it in a more effective way as a druid. And furthermore, just to notice, it is a full mana crystal, so it's not even an empty one, which means that you can actually use it the turn it comes into play, whereas the opponent will have to wait his turn to use it. So interesting upsides. Still have yet to see if it is all upsides. Power Mace. So Power Mace. So Shaman already has the totem going for him, the totem race, and he also has now brand new Murlocs going for him. So this is kind of pushing it with also trying to push mechs. Now, keep in mind the advantage I can see is that you control a bit more when it'll death rattle, when it'll trigger, instead of when you play it. So you can actually leave it sleeping for a little while, and hopefully have a mech down the road if you don't have one on hand. And the stats themselves are okay, but usually weapons all get turned down by the with the shaman simply because of Doomhammer, because Doomhammers have so many toughness on it, like those 8 hits that you have to use, which is minimum 4 turns, just means that other weapons seem less attractive to him. Anyways, wait and see and try it out and test things and see if it becomes a thing or not. Suit Spewer, like him, Most people don't. Shield Maiden, 6 for a 5/5, but you gain 5 armor. What can I compare this to? Maybe Claw and Bite from from the Druid. So you'll be able to gain 4 armor, gain 4 attack for 4, but now this has a body though, so hard to see. But the problem with this is that it doesn't combo that well with Shield Slam, and Shield Slam is pretty much a staple right now. Blast Mage again, blasting them commons. Shield Spear. Mistress of Fame. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Middle Tooth Leaper. The Living Savage Roar. Iron Sensei, boosting all day long other mechs. But yeah, so far Rogue doesn't really have a good area in terms of just creature decks. Spells is really the way to go for now, so I'll wait and see what happens. Maybe try out some different stuff. Target dummy again? Ugh, that was a crappy pack. Pick another Coghammer, Jesus. Alright, well, okay. I got my Coghammers. Cog the hammer. Vitality Totem. Awesome. Okay, Goblin Blast Mage. There we go. So, same thing. Jesus. Target Demi, Illuminator. Whoa, Golden Warbite? Yeah, 10 packs. 10 packs to go. Pick. Fell Reaver. Alright, so whenever your opponent does. Okay, so, yeah, the auto milling card. So, there's 2 upsides to this. So basically, it allows other deck to kind of go into the realm of handlock. So with the hand decks and being able to play those giants early on, or at least facing toe to toe with a handlock, because you can trade your giant against their giant. And so, I mean, dropping a turn 5 giant seems pretty much what the handlock does. Now the problem with this is that if the opponent is a heavy spellcaster, he can literally grind your deck down to nothing. Like, I've seen this card out and being milled for something like 21 cards in one turn, which was pretty bad. It was something like a Miracle Rogue, but still, like, it was pretty harsh to see, and by the end of it there was nothing left. And the advantage though is that you don't actually get overmilled with this. So once you have no more cards, you can't take like 3 burn damage per card played. So that's okay. Another Nullifier. Okay, Sabotage, nice. Second Sabotage, I didn't have any. One-Eyed Cheat. So, as I told you, they're trying to figure out a class type for, well, a race type with each class. So in this case, they went with Pirate for Rogue, which, I mean, I guess makes sense. I really liked the Pirate Paladin, though, on my end, just because of Greenskin was able to boost those really OP weapons. But I guess I can see it with Rogue, especially the fact that you're able to pop your weapon on your own. This guy has really nice stats. Like, 2 mana, 4/1, that's a superb amount of attack for. I think it's the highest attack for 2 mana in the game, if I'm not mistaken. And it's really awesome. Now, of course, you need to summon a pirate to gain him stealth. So you have to go all out pirate. And I guess Rogue is the best because they already have 1 pirate and you're able to synergize the weapons with the other pirates. So some advantage there. Though in my opinion, I still find the other classes like warrior and um, paladin are still pretty good with pirates. We'll have to see if it works out for him. But unlike the mini-mage, he at least costs you so much less to be able to cast them. Whereas mini-mage costs 4, so that if you lose him right away to like an arcane explosion, you kind of feel bad. Him at least, he only costs 2. Alright, Kazan Mystic, once again, nice. And Power Mace, somewhat okay. Pushing both those max. Okay, and Grove Tender. Iron Juggernaut. Oh yeah. Now this I wanted. So I really like this in a control matchup. It's super nice, and if you're able to bounce him back to your hand with, let's say, the Time Rewinder, that little spare part, damn man, it's super nice. And Cobalt Guardian, I kind of skipped over him because I don't really like him. He's 5 for 6/3, so basically any 3 attack can kill him, including 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 attacks. And he costs 5. So unless that turn you're able to play a mech right away, or give him Divine Shield, or give him Stealth, or something, he won't last long. So yeah, kind of disappointing. Graded Repair Bot. Iron Sensei again. No Hobgoblin though. Damn it. I'm kind of pissed. Wanted that Hobgoblin. Power Mace. More mechs. Rare. Jeeves again and Power Mace. Well, there we go, guys. So that was it. No Hobgoblin though. Kind of disappointed with that. But guess I'll have a chance to Numalorn, Tree of Life. I don't really miss that. Flare. Oh yeah, disenchanted my flares. Nothing missing here. Nothing missing there. Flame Leviathan, don't miss that. Bolvar Quartermaster, also very nice card. Oh crap. Didn't get an Master for battle. Okay, Shadow Boxer, Shadow Palmer. Anyway, it's a few cards that I'm disappointed to not have gotten. But let's see, just want to see here. Yeah, Hobgoblin. Ah, it's an epic. I would really need that. Well, that'll be for next time then. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and see if I'll maybe do a review of the actual common cards once dust settles and we're able to see the value of each. We'll maybe check that out. Alright, thank you. Brad Wolf out.